Hey there, geeks! Adam coming at you with another Wizards Haul video. I've changed the angle up a little bit here, give you a fresh perspective on Wizards HQ, but we've had a lot of fun things coming into the archives lately, some of it in preparations for our other shows, and so we wanted to share some of those things with you. To start things out, recently we launched ToyFares, the podcast, on our Patreon. It is a Patreon exclusive podcast where we're going to go through every issue of ToyFare magazine. We started with issue 1, of course. Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy joined us. That is actually free right now at patreon.com/Wizards Comics if you want to see what our ToyFare related podcast is all about. So we covered issue 1, obviously, and then we decided we got to prep. We got to start reading ToyFare issue 2. Now, this is one we had in the archives already. It was given to us by a Wizard staffer. You can see a first bound copy there. These were the issues that would be sent from the printer to the Wizard offices in Congers, New York, so they could get a look at it. This is the first bound copy being sent out. But as I was doing some research in a later issue of ToyFare, they went behind the scenes and kind of talked about some of the stories about creating the covers. Well, for issue 2, they did something I had no idea about. They did a variant cover. They said just for fun, they've been doing it at Wizard, why not for ToyFare? So as you can see, we have a masked Onslaught, that is the standard cover, and then, yes, if you were lucky enough to find the variant, an unmasked, I guess. I mean, like, it's an armored face? Is that what Onslaught looked like underneath the Magneto helmet? I didn't remember that. But anyway, that was just very fun. We'll be talking more in depth about that on the second episode of ToyFares that is coming out in March. So if you're interested, go on over to patreon.com/Wizards Comics, get signed up. But staying on the ToyFare track, we decided if we're going to cover every issue of ToyFare, we got to have them all, right? But why not have the bookends at least? So we were able to grab a copy of ToyFare. This is the final issue of ToyFare. Now, for those of you who don't know, the final issue of Wizard featured Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern, really just as Hal Jordan with a ring. He didn't have the costume on that cover. But so ToyFare, when it also published its final issue, had Green Lantern from the movie on there. So I didn't realize that there was that parallel in that exact moment. So it was just kind of cool. Justin Acklin was the final editor of ToyFare. We just interviewed him recently on the Wizard Files. If you want to find out about the final days of ToyFare and of Wizard as he saw it, you can go seek that out at wizardscomics.com or on your favorite podcast app. Just search Wizards, the Podcast Guide to Comics. Now, speaking of Wizard Magazine, that's mainly what we do here. For over 6 years, we've been covering every issue of Wizard Magazine. Now, this is one that is very near the end of the run. This is issue 230, and you can say to yourself, well, that's just a Spider-Man cover. Why is that a big deal? Well, the big deal is I didn't think this existed. The issue 230 you'll find most often is the black costume cover, but as you can see here, they promised that there were 4 covers total. And I was just saying, oh, well, it was late in the run. They probably just didn't actually ever print those because they were running out of money. They were going out of business, whatever you want to say. But now that this exists, it gives me hope that I can find a Spider-Man Noir, especially a Spider-Man 2099. Please, that's the one I want the most. Of course, that was all promoting the Shattered Dimensions video game, if you remember that. Speaking of Spider-Man 2099, now this is not vintage, this is not Wizard related, but it is very near and dear to my heart. You can see my collection of Spider-Man, mainly black costume, Venom, and there's some Spider-Man 2099 figures there. Well, there was a recent release, and I just decided to grab this. I don't buy a lot of modern action figures, but I have a special place in my heart for Miguel O'Hara, and my kids knew that. So when we were walking the toy aisle at Target, they're like, Dad, you got to buy that for yourself. I'm like, why don't you buy it for me for Father's Day? They're like, oh, you're going to regret it if you don't get it now. They know me so well. So anyway, I just thought that was fun to add to the wall back there. Now, getting into more vintage Wizard. Okay, let's get into one last thing here that is, related to an issue of Wizard Magazine, and that is a poster. Now, we have some posters, as you can see back here. We have a lot more than that, just don't have enough wall space. Wizard would send out promotional posters when their issues were about to go on sale, for the comic book stores to put up. And this is a very special one. Literally for the Spawn special issue that they did, okay? Now, if you are an avid watcher of our haul videos, you've probably seen that we shared this poster a while back. I mean, many years ago. This is a poster that we traded to a friend of ours, the Spawn Hunter, Ty, who needed this for his collection. He has almost every Spawn merchandise item, every collectible, every variant, all those things, and he needed this. And we traded him because we had the Spawn special, but we didn't have the mail-away item that was advertised inside, which was an Angela decal. And so he traded us the poster for the Angela decal. And wouldn't you know it, all these years later, we've got the poster back in our collection. We got a good price on it, so that was very exciting. Now, finally here, you are very generous people out there. I could feel it. I could feel it through the screen. There are some great members of our community on social media who join us on Facebook, who are just fans and listeners that will reach out every once in a while. And a listener named Justin reached out to us on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, I just found all of my old wizard cards. You know, the trading cards that would come in the poly bag, both like, official exclusive wizard cards, and then a lot of them that were just promotional for other card sets." And he's like, "Do you guys want those? Are you up for a trade?" I said, "We're definitely up for a trade because we need to fill in some of the voids in our collection here. We have, our sheets of 9 cards, and there are holes here and there, and now we can fill those in thanks to his collection. I'm sure many of you have these, they collecting your cards. So this is actually going to be an episode of Comic Card Crazy, also here on YouTube. We'll go through these cards, we'll take a look and see what's inside. Yeah, there's so much chromium involved in this. It's going to be fantastic. Now, the other bonus that Justin threw in, which I think is awesome, I was not expecting this, were 2 packs. They are sealed, of the Batman 1989 movie trading cards by Topps. I'm excited to open these up also on an episode of Comic Card Crazy. We are entering a very important year for Batman 1989. Well, I mean, you can say what you want to say about it. I think every year that we celebrate the release of this film is going to be a big deal. So probably in June, when that comes around again, we'll be opening up these packs. So that's something you can stay subscribed for. Last thing I just want to say, this is not a paid advertisement, but a lot of these issues of Wizard Magazine that we'd been looking for, came through one seller, and I didn't realize that when I was on eBay ordering these items. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, each one of these came through, and they all had a sticker, and they all had a postcard. And that is Anthony's comic book art, okay? Anthony is doing it right here. There he is, wheeling and dealing, okay? So if you're interested, anthonyscomicbookart.com, and you can find him also on eBay. I just say because the selection is fantastic, and it's really worked out well for us. Really carefully packs everything, gets it out quickly. So just a real seller that you can count on there if you're looking for some good stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that along to you if you're hunting down, not just wizard items, comic book items in general. But thanks so much for checking out this video. We will be back, like I say, with more Comic Card Crazy videos. We got more hauls on the way for sure. But make sure also that you just stay subscribed here because we're hoping to bring you a lot more fun content as the year progresses. But hey, until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.